Hello, everyone. Adam here from Three Cut Radio, and today I have the Lancashire Riot winner, the Titan himself, Chad Austin. How you doing,
Oh,
mate?
I'm good, mate. Very good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm fantastic. Really happy to be getting this up and going again because I've been very inconsistent. I thought Lancashire Riot won. There's no better time.
There you
No
go.
better time.
1 week
I
ago today, I think, wasn't it? 1st of March, 1 week today.
think so, yeah. It's don't know what date it is. What are we on?
On the 8th today.
Yeah, yeah, a week today. Dear
One
me.
week today. What are we on now? 6:10. So the show was not long started.
It was a phenomenal show.
It really, top to bottom, that show
Mm.
was brilliant. I was only gutted because I was in the riot and coming out last that I couldn't be at the front to watch anything.
That yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, it was insane, man. Like I everybody loves a good rumble. Like
Absolutely.
um, the rumble that I put on for my show was stressful as hell, rewarding but extremely stressful. And the Lancadors, they love booking rumbles. I think it's Marauder. I was messaging him a lot. He said, I love booking rumbles, but as he said, he's got the um first of all, I called him a masochist for that, but I called him a masochist for many other reasons in the ring as well.
Yeah.
Um, but he said he's got the benefit of the academy, which makes perfect sense. I don't.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at that Rumble that we had last week. I think, with the exception of one wrestler, every single person came from the academy and was an internal product of the LWF, which I think is a real testament to the strength of the company and what we're putting together through our academy and the talent that's coming through it. I think it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
And like you say, Marauder, he loves a Rumble. Did an excellent job putting this one together. In a way that everyone was happy with. So I was just happy to be able to take part, but to ultimately be the one going over and winning it. It is not a moment I'll forget, that's for sure.
how would it feel?
It indescribable. It's a very odd feeling because I debuted last February, so it was only just over a year since I debuted. And then the growth of myself as a character and as a wrestler with my abilities. Um, it was incredibly rewarding and humbling to be put in that position of you're going over in the Rumble, you're the one winning it. You know, like you say, everyone loves a Rumble, and to win a Rumble pretty much puts you on the map straight away.
Yep.
Even all the way at the top, like Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble this year, it's elevated him straight away. And then in the same way, it now falls to me to prove, yeah, it was the right call to put me over and to have me go on and say that this is the guy that's going to be main eventing Slamaganza. Like that's really cool. It's a really humbling feeling. Um, yeah, indescribable. As best as I can describe it anyway.
Indescribable as best as I can describe. Fantastically put. I love it, and I'm not gonna lie. I remember saying to you,
That's fun.
my pick was Justin.
And what a moment that would have been. To have Justin throw me over. What a moment that would have been.
He could try. He
Oh,
could
okay.
try.
But he's so good though, like that. And I
Oh
speak
my
to,
God.
obviously me and Justin are quite close. I have a lot of conversations with him, but he's another one that a product of the academy that he just comes on leaps and bounds, and it was a benefit of us that we were friends before we got into the business. But
All right.
to
But
see
it
his
makes
progression,
sense. You
yeah,
looked at it,
exactly.
and that doesn't surprise me.
But to see like his progression as well of my own, and to be able to do that with one of your best mates, it's a really good feeling. And there's a
Yeah.
lot of pride between the both of us. Like we had a moment in the ring and then a moment backstage after the riot, just like how cool is this? Like we get to do this. Like But yeah, I wouldn't have had any objection to Justin throwing me over over the top.
Objection. He he knows the gift of gab that guy has. He knows what to say at every single moment. You say anything to him, instant reply. And to see the one change that I love from Justin is the attire. He's gone with the all black, just opened there. It just
Yeah.
makes it give for me personally. It gives me American Psycho vibes or like Psycho vibes, which take that how you will. But he's
He's
he's great.
he's phenomenal, and what I love about him is that he gets the psychology. So his previous attire, where it was just like the smart shirt and the dress slacks, he wore his knee pads and his elbow pads outside. He didn't put them inside his attire, and other wrestlers would come up to him and say, "You've got your pads on outside. You know, you look an idiot." And he said, "Exactly." Because he gets it. Like the crowd already think he's a moron. So play into it. And the heat that you get off that, because it's not just look at this guy, I don't like him. It's look at this guy, and he looks an idiot.
Mm.
It's just subtle stuff like that that you just pick up, and he does such a phenomenal job of playing into stuff like that that it just yeah, I can't say enough good things about him.
I
Not
couldn't agree
just because
more.
he's my special counsel.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more because he's just one. I was on about psychology yesterday. I was talking to my therapist, and I was on about wrestling psychology to my therapist, which
Hmm.
you get someone who likes wrestling talking about wrestling.
That was a conversation straight away done, isn't it? Like, not
You
talking
ain't
about anything
shutting
else
up. You
now.
ain't as long as someone's like you need someone to rein you properly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that conversation is for how long now? Yeah, there you go. You're done. I was talking about psychology, and that's exactly you need to invest them. And I always feel a bit weird saying things like this when I'm not a wrestler myself to wrestlers because I feel a bit arrogant,
Hmm.
maybe when I don't mean to. But wrestling is about you need to be not afraid to look like an idiot.
Oh, 100%.
You
100%.
if you cock up in a match or you say something like wrong or something small like that, the fans will pick up on it instantly.
Yeah,
If you lean into that then you've let the fans in on the gag. If you don't and you have a go at the fans for it and you get embarrassed, they'll only eat away at you more.
100%.
Like,
100%.
I remember, I think it was in Japan, like AJ Styles went to do a phenomenal forearm and slipped on the ropes. So the upcoming shows, he had a crisis of confidence, and every time he went for it, he'd either intentionally slip, couldn't go for it until finally he went for it and nailed it, and then the crowd just went ballistic.
It's just subtle things like that, isn't it?
Hmm.
Subtle things like that that really takes you to that next level. Um,
And I think Justin has that. I think
oh,
he has
absolutely.
that mentality. He knows what to say and what to do at the right times, and he knows like noodle head. Like, yeah, he's gonna lean into that because he ain't gonna shave his head, is he? He's got
No.
got a bloody good head of hair.
We won't let him. Won't let him. He gets too much heat off his hair, so he can't afford to get rid of it.
No, no, he has to. He has to keep it. He has
It's
to.
it's one of those things with wrestling, isn't it? I've always been of the mentality that kind of like a theatre show or something. The crowd only know you've cocked something up if you let them know.
Agreed.
So if you lose your way in a match or whatever, then you take your opponent into a hall and you say, right, where are we up to? Forgot X, Y, Z, whatever. Sorry, I've cocked that up, whatever. If you just sort of stop and you start looking around like, oh crap, I don't know what to do now. And then the audience they pick up on that because obviously being at shows all the time, you'll see that whenever a match is on, the focus is in the ring. Like no one's looking elsewhere. There's nowhere to hide. So if you make a mistake or something doesn't quite go to plan, you can't really cover it a lot of the time. Sure, you can like recover a botched move and stuff like that. But you are the center of attention whenever you're in that ring. So if you let the audience know, sorry, that wasn't meant to happen, ignore that. Like you say, you've let them in on it and,
Hmm.
and, and you've broke the illusion. But it's again stuff like that just takes to that next level of, yeah, we cocked that up, but let's get back on track. Let's do this. And then that's why you start calling stuff in the ring, which again, it's just another um another feather in the cap, as it were, into your skills as a pro wrestler.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The crowd will give a shit, but if you let them in on the gag, then yeah, they'll give you shit, but they won't lose with they'll be like, oh, he's let us in, oh,
Mm,
there you go. And then it's kind of like a back and forth, and you're good. Like I've always hated the you fucked up champ. I've always hated that because we are literally watching, especially when you see people like in WWE, the WWE and AEW sort of battle, which makes that much sense. But the thing is, like you're watching on the indies, you're watching people from the very beginning learning in front of a crowd.
okay.
That is that's nerve wracking. I've done a few spots in front of a crowd. I've done my own show in front of a crowd and be like, and when I'm in the ring, I don't know. I think it might be familiar with you as well, but you feel completely different when you're out in front of a crowd. That empowered version of
100%.
you, you just feel empowered. You love it, and it's fun. But you can't ignore the fact that you're learning in front of a crowd every single time you get out there. You learn something new in front of a crowd.
And that's
So
the thing is that like with being in front of a crowd, you don't get that benefit of, oh, we can redo it. Oh, we cocked that up, we can redo it. Like, no, it is one and done. I think it's Chris Jericho said a similar thing where there's no second take. Like you go out and you do your stuff. And if it's great, great. But if it's a shit show, then you know, that's it. That's what you'll be remembered for. Um, but it's like you say, it's important to learn from everything because not everything's going to go right in a match. Like
yeah,
I've had matches where I've completely cocked stuff up, but because we've recovered it, you'd never know watching from like an objective crowd perspective, and I think that's such a benefit of you keep calm, you keep cool, and you recover stuff back. And it really is a skill. And like you say, you're going out and you're learning on on the job as it is because you can't watch stuff back. I mean, of course, you can watch stuff back and think, "Oh, I should have done that there," but
yeah,
you didn't. So it's there's no point doing that and dwelling in the past. Like if you made a mistake on the show and whatever. Um, but you've got that benefit of you come backstage and you think, could have done this. And then next match, you will do that. And then you
yes,
will. And stuff like that. Like you say, it's just constantly learning. The day you stop learning, it's probably the day you retire in pro wrestling because it's just always something different. Always something different going on. Maybe it's a different crowd. Maybe, don't know, there's some issue with the venue. I think it was the first LWF show I came to watch. Um, when was it? It will have been December 2023, I think. It was a mutiny.
okay.
Um, and I think it was Maddie Morgan's debut for the company. And Lancadors are in the ring. They both get on a buckle, give it the pose, and the middle rope just gives way. One of the buckles snaps. So then they're doing a six-man tag match, and you have to completely think, shit, we've just lost the entire middle rope.
Yeah, I
So they
remember
take
that.
it away, and they do an entire six-man tag match with your top and your bottom rope. But because you pulled it off that well, it didn't matter. And it's just like you say, it's a testament to how tough people are in the business and how well that those six people in particular were. That they could just adapt. And it's that adaptability that really says these people, they know what they're doing.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was at, if I'm not mistaken, it might have been at St. Mary's rather than St. Joseph's. I think it was at St. Mary's. And it was against the brand and somebody else,
I think
maybe
it was
Ace
Ace
Wheeler,
Wheeler. I
maybe
think it
Ace
was Ace
Wheeler,
Wheeler,
and the Lancashire and Maddie Morgan. And this is a testament to Maddie, and I can't put her over enough, but this is a testament to Maddie. Is that the middle rope breaks? That's her debut.
yeah. Mm.
She did the moonsault off the second rope. There's no second rope. You call an audible. She did it off the top. And that's a testament to Maddie on her debut to do that. Fair play.
Okay. For
Can't
that,
argue with it.
for that
Amazing.
adaptability in your
Mm,
debut match at her age as well,
exactly.
that's not something you can teach. Like it's absolutely phenomenal. So every
Yeah.
credit to her on that. And she's, since then only gone strength to strength. So every credit to her.
I've seen them training some new moves as well, and I'm just looking forward to more and more because she's there's been little changes in the match recent like in her matches recently that have elevated her,
Hmm.
in my opinion. She had a match the title match she had at Champions Hall with Lily was phenomenal. Absolutely
Oh,
just incredible. Lily's someone who has her entrance and presence down to an absolute T. As soon as she walks through that curtain with that hooded cloak on, she provides she grabs your attention.
yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. That's when you stop becoming, just a wrestler and you become an attraction, you become a spectacle. And I think that's what all of us are working towards. And I'd say pretty much all of us have got it nailed in the LWF. Like whenever a wrestler comes out, it's XYZ. They know who you are because you've got that presence. And again, you see the shows like your mutinies and your emergencies that are free, and it's that kind of business model that you get your audience in, so that when you do run a show like a Champness Hall, you know you're going to have the audience for it because you've already got that goodwill with people coming to free shows and stuff. That every single wrestler feels like a superstar. Like I
Yeah.
know when I came out of the Champness Hall, I mean, Jesus Christ, that was like WrestleMania for me.
Oh,
Like
I.
on that tiered venue, coming out on a stage and looking up and seeing, your tiered seating up top and your 5 or 6 rows of chairs on the bottom, it was like, shit, like I'm a pro wrestler. That is
Yeah.
fucking cool.
It was incredible. Oh my Lord. And like how like, we going into it, former World of Sport venue
Hmm.
between 400 and 500 people. How did that feel? I know you just said it was like WrestleMania, but like when you're in the match
Yeah.
in front of that many people, like did you kind of have to forget about that while in the match, or was it always still in the back of your mind?
It's funny, because like in the weeks leading up to it, and especially the week of, there was a real feel that, like you say, this is it. This is our biggest show we've ever done as a company. We know it's going to be a brilliant show. And as time gets closer to it, you start thinking like, oh God, like pressure. And going into it, getting to the venue on the day, we get it all laid out. I think show started at like 6 o'clock, so by like half two, 3 o'clock, venue is entirely ready. And we were running through matches and stuff and having chats and whatever. And I was just looking around and I was like, this is so cool. Like you say, like a historic British wrestling venue like Champness Hall. It's like, and we're one of the lucky ones that like we get to be here. It's a
Mm.
really cool moment. Um, and yeah, it's a strange thing because you do start to get, at least I did, I started to get nervous. Like as soon as people start coming in, I start thinking like, ooh, here we go. And I think we were on second, which I quite like because you don't get a chance to be like nervous, I guess, for me anyway. Um, and as like you say, as we were going out and we had that partnership with Miss John's Dance Academy, and
Aye.
they were doing all their performances ahead of our entrances. So I snuck up, um, while 'cause it was Justin and Cody, my teammates. They got there little entrance before mine kicked off, so I snuck up and hid behind one of the projector posts, and I was just like watching. I was like, this is so cool. Like this is special. I think everyone knew that that show was special because that was like a statement for us of, we are what a lot of people perceive as just a little independent company from Chorley. And it's like we're going to Rochdale in a historic venue for British pro wrestling and we're selling it out.
Yeah.
And for people like you say, if they're like, oh, it's just a little promotion in Charlotte, it's like, we're not,
It's,
no, not
no,
anymore. So that was a really cool show, and it was a really cool moment to be able to do that. Um, Especially with the guys I was wrestling. I had Dustin, Zach Wayne, and West Danger in a four-way match, and that was a match I was very proud of. Oh, it was a really fun match,
oh yeah,
and the talents of everyone involved in that. It was just, yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite matches. Definitely.
I can imagine. Yeah, like that. That was phenomenal. And don't mean this as a slight to you, but the Zach Wayne Samoan drop was quite a spectacle. Even though you were the one taking the move, that was quite a spectacle to see.
It's funny. It's like so I've worked with Zach a couple of times now, and in that first match we had, I think it was at Todmorden. Um, we were chatting, and I said, "Do you reckon you could get me up for a Samoan drop?" And he was like, "Oh, we'll give it a go." And we did it, and it was the biggest noise of the match. Have you seen the venue in
Huge.
Todmorden? Did you go to a show in Todmorden? So it's not a massive venue, is it?
No, it's
But
quite small.
that Samoan drop, when it hit me with it, you would have thought like there's hundreds of people here because that got some noise, and it's stuff like that. Going back to psychology, the psychology of a big man is when you take a move, it puts the other person over so much so that when Zach was able to give me a Samoan drop, it's like that makes Zach look amazing.
Yeah,
And then at Champness, taking the Samoan through a table, that was my idea. I said I said to Zach, I said, I want you to Samoan me, but I really want to go for a table. So that was a really cool sequence put together at the end there where set the table up, we get Dustin for a choke slam, jumps behind me, forearms me back, turn around, West, big tornado kick, turn back around, Zach, Samoan drop through a table. Like, I mean, that does me a favor because it's like, look, that's took three people to take me
well,
down, but
hmm
that noise of the crowd, like the big man's down, it's just little things like that that when I'm taking stuff, it gives back in a way. That's the way I've looked at it. Um,
100%.
and it's just like you say, it just gets noise, and especially going for a table as well. It's like that was a cool moment. Really,
I,
really enjoyed that.
I remember I remember it was Big Show on Steve Austin's podcast, and he was on about big men taking bumps, and he was on about, do you remember, years and years ago now, do you remember the feud between Sami Zayn and Braun?
Yes, I do.
And Braun was bumping for Sammy, and he goes over to him. He's like, "Mate, what are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm gonna, gotta give him something." He goes, "No, this isn't your day. You,
Yeah.
you stay. You're a big man. You deck him. He's tiny compared to you." And it's that, as you say, you're absolutely right. It's that psychology of like, once the big man gets taken down after all of that brutal, after all of that kick after punch, after all of these moves, it provides that huge uplifting pop because the big man's finally been taken down after all of these people, and it was quite the spectacle to see because I went mental anyway. I can tell you that much.
I'm glad to hear it.
That thing, yeah, that training session, that one training session I went, I was like, yeah, sick. I'm here, great. And then when my mum was like, yeah, I'll see you have a good time. I'm off to work and all that, and it hit me. It's like, oh yeah, you're off to work. Okay, great. Bye. Shit, how am I gonna get home? And it hit me. It's like, oh shit, how am I gonna get? How am I actually gonna get home from here? And then Zach, who was waiting, goes. You live in Wigan, don't you? I was like, yeah. It was you, because he went to my first Wrestle Story show as a fan. It's like, that's how I recognize you.
Ah,
Okay.
right.
He looked at me and went, I can take you home if you want. Oh, ever since then, we've just been like proper close mates because I didn't realize what are the bloody chances of me going to a training in Chorley and finding somebody else who lives down the road from me. Jesus Christ,
A lovely fella, isn't
I have
he?
I have never seen anybody smile like him. He doesn't stop smiling.
Yeah, oh yeah. Even if you give him bad news, he's still beaming. It's brilliant.
I was doing commentary for my last show, and there was one moment, I believe it might have been in the Rumble, where his eyes, he had a proper serious moment. I just went through and went, "Oh my God, he looks like a serial killer." One moment, and it's in my entire time knowing him. Any other time, massive smile, and you're just like, how, like, how are you just so high on life just all the time?
He was always going to be a baby face, wasn't he? Oh, could never turn that man heel.
No, no, like it's the only way you're gonna turn that man here is if he does incessantly smile all the time to the point where it's just rather annoying or creepy. I love the lad. He's great, and he's another one as well. He's another one. He hasn't been wrestling long, but he's gotten such a following
Oh, absolutely,
already.
absolutely. Like you say, that four-way match at Champness,
Mm,
every single person I was in there with, Dustin, West, Zach, I can't speak highly enough for all of them. Like
yeah,
they all get it. They're all brilliant. They've all got this knowledge of the business that, yeah, you look at these people and you're like, yeah, these are really good pro wrestlers.
yeah. He's great people, great wrestlers, and man, West, man. Oh my! Like when West turned, I thought it was gonna be Maddie.
Right.
Like because I was just like, right, okay, West is gonna turn it. He's just got. It was at the town hall, wasn't it? It's like,
Was, yeah.
he's gonna turn. He's gonna turn, and then it's like it was Maddie. Maddie's gonna turn, and then West super kicks Maddie. I'm like, holy shit! And ever since then, he has white hot as a heel.
Oh, yeah.
White hot. He is everyone. The change of music is beautiful,
Agreed. Massively.
even though I will say this on recording, he had Oasis and they are shit. But I will say that on record.
Everyone's got their own taste. I've got no issue with
And
that.
oh, you say everyone's got their own taste. He is a City fan, so there's a few reasons to dislike the lad.
See, I've got the benefit. I do not care for football. So when people give beef about football teams, I'm just like, nothing, mate. Like, I'm not bothered. Like people come up to me and say, "Oh, we're gonna doing shit," and I'm like, not asked.
It's standard to be fair.
Yeah, well, yeah. We had that glimmer of hope, didn't we, like 10 years ago? And then there's just, as far as I know, anyway, there's been nothing since.
Yeah, very, very. Like, football's football. It's one of them. Like I'm a massive wrestling fan. So if you don't like football, I'll talk to you about wrestling. If you don't like wrestling and football, I'm forward.
So
Like,
yeah, I'm just, if you don't like pro wrestling, I can't speak to you.
two of my closest friends don't like either, but one of them will entertain the conversation. The other one will just sit there and listen and just probably do her own thing. But they don't like either of them. So I'm just like, right, okay, you like gaming. Let's talk about gaming.
There you
Sick.
go.
We've got
Always some,
something.
always some.
I I am that kind of guy. I think most wrestling fans are, to be honest. Where if they, yeah, it's like when you go out and you see someone else in the wrestling shirt, and you're like,
Yeah. This is a cool dude.
You're a good guy. Like, who'd you like? Good. Like, speaking of speaking of town hall, you had a four-way ladder match, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yes.
When you got tied to the was it handcuffed to the pole?
Yeah. Yeah. That was brilliant. We got handcuffed to the pole, and then a great big rope tied around me and Justin, and we got stuck on the post. It was so funny because I think it was JD King. It was either JD or Ryan Lowe. Put a handcuff on me and put me up there, and I was put the other half around the rope. So I was like, oh no. It's like, oh, I can sell this. And the first time I pull my hand to sell it, the handcuff snaps and gives up.
I I noticed that and I just went, shit.
So I did it. I was like, okay, great. Thank God I've got this like rope tied around me then. I can sell that instead.
It was like I was watching what was going on in the ring, and I was on that side, like my peripheral vision, I just see you on go. And I went, oh shit. I was sat with Max, and of all people, like Max doesn't give a fuck. He will stay wherever he's on his mind. That's it. And the amount of times he's taken a piss out of me for my epilepsy is unreal. That's fine though. If you take the piss, no worries. If you tiptoe, that's when it's at least I
Yeah.
know where I am with him.
If you can give it, you can get it back. That's the way I live
Oh,
with
he's a long haired ginger.
it.
That's all I need to say there.
I mean, yeah, that sells itself, doesn't it?
I've got something to give back. I'm happy.
There you go.
But
But yeah, that town hall show, that was a lot of fun.
oh
That
yeah,
was
it was
a really
class.
fun match. And like seeing, people that trained, obviously myself and Justin in the Lancadors, seeing them go out and seeing some of the stuff they were doing with the brand. When we're tied up, it's like, oh, we can actually kind of watch now. I'm
Yeah.
watching like um, both these teams that I get on well with, and they're just beating the shite out of each other and going through tables and stuff. And I'm just like, this is brilliant. Like, we should get tied up to the ring post more often. Like, this is just, we can watch stuff. It's brilliant.
Didn't think of it that way. That's brilliant. Oh, it's class. It was a great match. I was genuinely honest. One thing about it was I was genuinely surprised because I thought you'd be an event.
Yeah.
Genuinely surprised, and I mean this in the nicest way possible. I'm glad you didn't because I was worried about the Void and Casey because of the spectacle of the ladder match.
Yeah.
So I spoke to Void after the match, and he said that. Well, he said, "Yeah, I understand exactly what you mean." So he said, "I had to. We thought, come up with something different,
Yeah.
special." And when he came out on that rolling chair and had people rolling in and out and down the steps and everything and round the ring, I was just sort of like, okay, yeah, I
That's
didn't
fair.
have any need to worry whatsoever. Me and Jason both just went, this was absolutely immense. And like
I,
that was the making of both Casey and the Void, that
I think
match.
that's a testament to how good both those performers are that
Yeah.
you have this spectacle of a ladder match with four teams. So, eight people in the ring, and there's ladders and there's tables and chairs and bins and
Anything you want.
briefcases and God knows what
A
else.
mannequin arm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You've got that spectacle of a match, and it's a beast.
Mm.
But the biggest noise of that show was when Casey pinned the Void.
Yeah, it
And
was.
it's a testament to both those two performers as well as the story that they told over the
Beautiful.
space of a year.
Beautiful story.
It was absolutely phenomenal story. And then seeing where they've gone now, and yeah,
Mm.
you had this wrestling's all story, and the story of your good guy versus your bad guy. It's just such a universal thing. Everyone knows that. So when you see someone like a Casey Carlisle who comes out, I'm a superhero. You got the Void comes out, I'm a supervillain. Right, when are these two gonna meet? And that 1 year losing streak that Casey went on
Yeah,
was such a big thing in getting that story across. Of you've got the town hall, big show, hundreds of people there. You've got the spectacle of it. You've got the main event, and for Casey to then finally get his win, I'd say it might be the biggest noise I've heard on a show like that I've been on. Was
it's up
Casey
there.
finally getting that pin on the Void because that crowd exploded, and I was lucky with that one because I think we were on fourth,
Yeah,
so I
you
was
were
able to
just
get
before
changed.
the
It was
intermission.
just before interval, wasn't it? So I was able to get changed and go out and watch that main event, and not only was it a phenomenal match, but they had the crowd hooked on every single thing they did. I think Casey took shows like a gorilla press from Void to the outside of the ring.
Yeah,
That crowd response, you'd think they killed the man. Like they were so into everything they were doing. And Casey getting free moves, free splashes, wasn't it? Free splashes on the
yeah,
Void to finally take him down. I mean, everyone loves a good guy. And when you've got someone like the Void who's a big guy and he knows his character and he's so good at the nuances of being a villain,
yeah.
I mean, it writes itself, doesn't it?
He's he's such a wonderful man. I absolutely love him and Casey. Just had just that instant connection, and they
Oh,
had the chemistry straight away, and you just knew this is going to be something good.
yeah.
It was in the back of my mind. I really hope, because I love both of them. I love all the LWF, and I think one of the better qualities of the fans of the LWF is that they're patient. They've got very patient fans, and I think pro wrestling in general, especially on the indies, I think you need a bit of patience to see
I,
where things
I
are going
agree.
to go. A lot of people will see a decision on one show and be like, "This is awful, terrible, and the worst thing in the world." Like, relax, relax, let it simmer for a bit.
It's
But
layers, isn't it?
yeah, there's always layers.
It's how you make something mean more. Because if they'd have had, I think it was Casey's first time on a show, wasn't it, when Void changed from Balatius to the Void
I think
and
so.
hated
Yeah,
him. And if like the very next show they finally did Casey versus the Void and Casey got the win, it wouldn't really mean anything because they wouldn't have had that build. And you see it like at top level now, like the WWE, the Bloodline storyline, that's been going on for the better part of 5 years now. And, sure, it's had its ups and downs, and I think a lot of people would say that, but
yeah.
it's layers on top of stuff. It's, a new layer of, right, we've got these new people in the bloodline, and then these layers of, right, well, we're leaving the bloodline. And it's just stuff that you just build on this one story. And I think that's how you make things really mean a lot. So that's why you see, like, last year where Cody Rhodes finally beat Roman Reigns.
Amazing.
I always thought having Roman retain at 39 was the best decision. And a lot of people were upset with that.
I completely agree.
But you then had this year of Cody saying, I want to be back up at that spot. I know I can beat him. You gave it this year to build, and I think was it with Jey Uso he won the tag belts that year, and he had the feud with Brock Lesnar and stuff like that, where all that was the company saying, look, this guy is going to be our main event.
And
But
so it
instead of
should be as
chucking him
well.
in there straight away, you give it that time for the crowd to get behind him so that when he finally does get that rematch with Roman, it means that much more because they've spent a year letting the crowd feed into it and get behind him. And in the same way they did with Casey, like I remember my debut match was against Casey's. I think that was his debut match as well. And we were both
It was.
virtually unknowns to the crowd, but we had the benefit of, I'm a massive man. He's a superhero. It sells itself.
Yeah.
So you see this character of Casey Carlisle who he's a good guy and he's going to overcome this triumph and stuff. And he spends a year getting put down and down and down. And the crowd get behind it because everyone loves an underdog. And that's especially in professional wrestling. We've seen it dozens of times before. Everyone loves an underdog story.
Yeah,
Everyone loves it because it's something that the general fan can very easily get behind and relate to. So when you put this long-term story of here's your underdog and here's him going down and down, you get that sympathy so that when they finally do get that win back, it just means that much more.
exactly. Exactly. You got but the person that got me into wrestling was Rey Mysterio, the ultimate underdog. There you
Biggest
go.
little man, phenomenal wrestler.
Exactly. Still now, still going now over 25 years or something like that. And he's, after how many surgeries on his knee, and he's still going. He's chopped and changed his move set because he's wise.
Hmm.
But the fact he's still going now is ridiculous.
Well, I was saying this to me mate the other day, like we watched Rey Mysterio when we were kids,
Yeah,
and literally 2 decades later, he's still going and he's still phenomenal at what he does.
it is ludicrous. It is absolutely ludicrous. He's he's insane to the point where his son is wrestling
Mm.
and he's being able to wrestle his son. And when you talk about heat magnets, I will genuinely say Dom is the biggest heel in the world right now.
Oh God, yeah.
And a lot of people say MJF, and okay, I'll let you out. I'll let them have that one. But the reason I'd say Dom over MJF is when I was at AEW All Out, everyone sang MJF's theme.
Yeah.
You don't sing Dom's.
That's the thing is when Jericho was phenomenal with this, where
Mm.
he would change bits of himself up because the crowd would like it, so he'd stop doing it. I think I read one of his books, and I think he said like that was the reason that 2000 and I think 7 or 8, he
Mm.
stopped wearing tights, switched to trunks,
Yeah,
started wearing business suits, cut his hair, stuff like that. It's the nuances of that you change as a character, but you also change what people like about you.
he's one of the most intelligent wrestlers I've ever seen, Chris Jericho.
Oh, I agree.
But not only does he have those glimpses of like those little, I'm gonna leave and go Tora Fozzy, then I'm gonna come back. He might come back as a babyface and then turn. But he have every single time. He got it over. He got the word it.
Oh yeah.
He got a list, a piece of paper over. And like the Festival of Friendship, one of the greatest segments I've ever seen in wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. I'd say definitely one of, if not the best turn.
It
Um,
was. I love that it was a heel turn upon a heel turn because it was already heel. And you just, as soon as he lifts it up and asks in the most vulnerable way, he just asks, "Why is my name on this?"
it's the dread, isn't it? Because they built it for weeks, haven't they? That Owens kept getting pissed off with him, and oh, I've got you into this match with Goldberg. Well, what have you done that for? And the drip fed like Owens was getting pissed off with him, so that when it's like, oh, I've got a gift for you, you start feeling that dread of, oh God, he's gonna hit him or something. And he gives him the list. And he's like, oh, brilliant, my own list. And it's phenomenally shot where he lifts it up and the camera sees it and the crowd sees it, the list of KO, but Jericho doesn't.
It's
Why,
beautiful.
why is my name on this? Spins it round the list of KO. Oh, getting goosebumps talking about it. I think that was such a phenomenal segment.
And it's one of the maybe the last time he ever took the power bomb onto the apron because he took that and then said to KO in the back, "You ain't fucking doing that again."
It's a nasty apron bump. Nasty, I imagine.
Oh God,
I'm very fortunate I haven't took many apron bumps. So
it is.
I'll certainly be trying to
Oh,
lessen that in the future.
just visually, I don't need to take it. Just visually, I've felt the apron getting off the apron,
Oh yeah.
and that's enough to like on the back of my leg and my arse. I've felt it then getting off the apron. Never mind anything else. Oh
Oh, it
dear
must suck. It must suck.
God, it is. oh. The thingy KO Sammy match at Elimination Chamber, and I read somewhere that the chair with the barbed wire,
Hmm.
it wasn't gimmicked in any way. It wasn't shaven or gimmicked or anything. And I'm like, A, psychos. B, doesn't surprise me.
No, no. Seeing those two over the last 20 years of their wrestling, you know what they're both capable of. And if there was someone who was going to do that, it'd be Kevin Owens because that man loves punishing himself. Like some of the bumps that man takes, my God.
He is one of the most believable wrestlers I've ever seen in my life, Kevin Owens. Like some of the look in his eyes, he was
Mm,
gone. Like they always say that Orton's going to that place, but Kevin Owens literally did go to that place. He was glazed, completely glazed over, and his promo style, oh, it's more of him just like shouting.
yeah.
But people love it because it isn't shouting for the sake of shouting. It makes sense.
What I love about Kevin Owens as well is he does not visually look like your typical pro wrestler, and I think
Mhm.
that does such wonder for him. Because you see your Hulk Hogan's and your
Yeah,
Lex Luger's and your people like that, and you're like, they are jacked, they're massive, they are pro wrestlers. Oh, big macho man. But then you see like a Kevin Owens who like you could walk past two or three of them on the street.
yeah.
But when he gets into that ring, it's like this guy is incredible at what he does, like in the ring, psychology of everything. But because he doesn't, wear trunks or he's not jacked or he's not 6'6", like it's such a good expectation of we don't know what to expect from this guy. So that when he's delivering like moonsaults and stuff like that, it's like this guy shouldn't be doing this, but he's phenomenal. And it's he just has that like gimmick of like a brawler that you can put him against, a Sami Zayn or a Roman Reigns
Mm.
or a Braun Strowman or a Big Show, and he doesn't really change his style too much. Like he's just so versatile and he's so good at it. And like you say, that the microphone abilities of that man is just the cherry on the top. Like he's phenomenal in every element of it.
Him and Samoa Joe, like that short moment where him and Samoa Joe were teaming, very short, tiny little moment. That should have been massive. They should that if they were going to put them together, championships material straight away. I think they should have really pushed them to the moon because they can honestly they can sell you anything. They could tell. I've said this to a few people. They could tell me to strip naked and go to the Antarctic and I won't be cold. I'd be like, you know what, you're right. They could tell you anything and you're like, yeah, they're right. But no, they're not. Yeah, they are because you told me they are. They're just they're that good. And the way wrestling's going at the moment under Triple H is beautiful. Like the whole Naomi, Jade Cargill, Bianca, like trio sort of feud with Naomi and the most recent SmackDown and everything. We're getting here Naomi, which I'm absolutely here for. Here for. I love here Naomi. I think the last time she was here was with Team Bad with Sasha and Tamina.
I think that was like 2015, wasn't it? So
Yeah, that
it's
was 10 years ago.
a long time ago.
They used the if you I only realized this like a month ago. They used a remixed version of the Street Profits theme.
They did, and it's one of them things that when you find that out, you won't ever unhear it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. And I hate but love it at the same time.
but that's the thing. Like you see at that level with Naomi and Bianca and Jade, this story going on. Pro wrestling is just story, and whether you're right at that top level of the WWE that are multi-million dollar company and what have you,
Mm-hmm.
or you're on the indies or whatever, you are telling a story, and if you can get the crowd invested in something like that in front of 100,000 people or 100 people, you've done your job.
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree. And that is what it is. It's story. You can slag wrestling off what you want, but it's story. At the end of the day, theater is theater and spandex, and that's how I look at it. it's theatre, and I love every single second of it because I love being taken on that ride, on that journey, and people can talk about it being fake all that long. I can't really give a shit because name something on TV that isn't.
It always amuses me, like, say to people, like, oh, I'm a big fan of pro wrestling. Oh, you know it's fake, don't you? It's like, well, yeah, but so's 90% of the media now. Like, I went to the cinemas to watch Captain America, and not for a minute did I think, shit, there's a Hulk going on in the US. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it really amuses me. Like, oh, pro wrestling garbage, it's fake. Right, I'll go and put The Walking Dead on. It's like,
Give
do
it
you
a go.
do you
Just
not see
give
the
it a
irony
go.
of it? It really
And
amuses me.
they search out like a WWE like a specific like thing that's probably been on on social media for about 5 months or something like that. They'll it's like they search for it. I'm like, what are you doing with your life that you have to comment like that? Like, are you okay in yourself? Like, I really don't care because it's all about story. I've been told that you can't make stories out of you can't make stories out of wrestling.
Hmm.
That's all wrestling is.
Yeah,
That's what
100.
wrestling is. Wrestling is story, 100% story driven. As you
And
said, look at the bloodline.
it's the single most flexible art form, I think, because you see you know, like soap TV over here, like
Mm.
Coronation Street. Your storylines are quite recycled. This person's divorcing this person, but this person's cheating on them with this, or this is happening, this happening. You look on WWE, and it's like we've got this Samoan family tree that are running the business. Over on the other brand, you've got this supernatural gang of monsters that are just beating people up. And then you've got a group of like American alpha male wrestlers that are just battering people. And then you've got a film star on the other brand. And it's just the character work is what truly separates it. And that's why I think it's such a beautiful art form that if you're into drama or you're into comedy or you're into, even as far as like horror and thriller stuff, that pro wrestling's got you covered. Like if you want to see two people put on a phenomenal athletic display, you got pro wrestling for it. If you want to see a multi-year storyline of betrayals and reunions, pro wrestling, it's the single most flexible art form. And I think that's why the business has lasted as long as it has. And the pro wrestling's never going to stop. It's always going to be around. And I, as a performer, feel lucky that I just get to engage in it and be a part of telling some of these stories. Like it's just such a beautiful art form. And I think people do write it off a bit too quickly because it's fake and
And
if
it's
it was
not
fake, Droz would be fine, wouldn't it? If it was
exactly.
fake, Owen Hart wouldn't be
Owen
there.
Hart would be
Stuff like that. It's
if it's fake. That you see, if it was fake, you won't be seeing Liv Morgan uploading the battle scars and wounds from Elimination Chamber. If it was fake, how would they fake the noise of Bianca Belair's hair
mm,
whipping the shit out of you? That shit hurts like a motherfucker, and I've never even taken it.
oh yeah.
And then you've got the likes of Timeless Tony Storm, which is one of the best gimmicks I've ever seen in my life.
Oh,
The
it's
fact
phenomenal.
that they make it black and white just for her. And Mariah May recently attacked her on the red carpet and things like that. And I remember years ago when Zelina was on an online interview with Kayla, and Bianca invaded her house and they both fought on live stream. And it's like that right there in and of itself is so cool and so different and so innovative. And of course, it was back when Vince was still around, so he didn't like people getting over by themselves. But
Mm.
that's innovation, and what we're seeing right now is pure innovation by Triple H, and what we're seeing in LWF is pure innovation. Because I might sound arrogant in saying that, but I'll if I sound arrogant and say that, I'll turn you to the 400 or 500 people that sold out Champions Hall, and that proves me right with the innovation that's going on with the LWF right now, and how huge they're getting in such a small amount of time. Because when people talk about it being this small company, no company was big when they first started.
No, absolutely. And I think that the brilliant thing about the LWF, and like we said, Paul, Dave, and Lorna have got such
Yeah,
a great vision of what they want the place to be and where they want it to go. And that, I mean, you sort of your first part of running a business is you think, right, what do we want? And they've got it nailed. They know what they want.
yeah,
And for us as the performers in the company, we work to basically meet their vision. And they've built such a beautiful dynamic backstage that, everyone's mates, like everyone looks out for each other, and it's just such an awesome place to be. I've said to the three of them before, like I'm very, very fortunate to be where I am in the company, and that I really would not have gotten into the business had it not been for the LWF. Because of when I started, like I was fortunate in that it was just after the transition, I think, where they'd started to focus a lot more on the academy
yeah.
and building this like brilliant atmosphere where everyone looks out for each other and everyone learns together, and there's no squabbles and stuff like that. There's no, you're not worried about treading on anyone's toes. Um, and like after the riot, like the amount of people that said to me like, "Well done, it's brilliant, you deserve it," stuff like that. It's really humbling, and it really puts into perspective for me that not only am I love being in the business, but not only have I made the right decision by getting into the business, but by getting into it with the LWF. Like I could not imagine another company like that I would have been so fulfilled in being in from the start. And it is a big point of pride for me that I started off with this company. And I don't know where any of us are going to be 5, 10 years from now, but it's very um, humbling to be able to look back and think I got a really good start in this business. And like even when did I start? I think it was August 2023. I had my first training session. And even going from there, like the growth I've seen, not only in myself, not only as a wrestler and a performer, but as a person, it's just a testament to how well the three of them are running the company, and how happy I am here. It's yeah, it's a very cool experience.
It's awesome, and it's really great. That is really great to hear. That it's really great, and yeah, it's great. It's really great to hear that because it's true. It's only gone from strength to strength. One thing I haven't actually asked you though is due to my first question. We've done well. For someone who's been in the business, say just over a year now, what what was it that inspired you? What was it that made you think, I want to do this? I want to get in the ring and train?
Um, so I've always been a fan of professional wrestling.
Mhm.
'Cause my older brother got me into it. How old was I? Must have been about 10, 11 years old. And I watched it for a couple of years and then I fell off.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got back into it in 2014. It's just after the WrestleMania that year. Um, so I watched it consistently from then till now. And I always had in the back of my mind, like, God, I'd love to give that a go because I like to think that I'm quite a creative person.
Mm.
And I always thought I'd love to give that a go. But I was a fat lad. I'm still a fat lad, but I was I was a fatter lad than I was. So I was always like, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'm not fit enough. I'm not good enough, whatever. And a couple of years ago, 2023, I just thought, you know what? If I don't actually do it now, when am I going to do it?
Mm.
because
Yeah.
I'd had thoughts years and years. I went to 2019, I think it was. I went to a training session um, at a promotion. They had like a big communal open day thing. So I went there and I was gassed like straight away. Um, and I was like, right, I need to get fit, and then I'm gonna give this a real go. And then COVID happened, and the whole like industry in the UK was kind of brought to a standstill for a bit. And then, everything eased up over COVID. And I just thought a couple of years ago, like if I'm not like I still had these lingering thoughts of I want to do this. So I just thought, do you know what? If I don't do this now, when am I going to do it? And the LWF was a company I'd been aware of for a couple of months, and I was at the pub with Justin, and we'd had a few bevies, and we'd spoken because he's a big wrestling fan as well, obviously. And we were speaking, and I was like, I think we give this a go, And he was like, oh, whatever, go on. So I got in touch with Paul at the LWF, and I messaged Justin the next day and said, oh, he's replied with this. I'm going training at this session this week. And Justin goes, oh shit, I didn't actually think you'd do it. Um, so that's how I got my start. Went to It was a one-to-one session with Paul at the time, so I went there with him. And straight away, like it was just a great vibe to be there. And did my first couple of sessions, and then started doing group sessions with other wrestlers, and it's just kind of been up from there. But I think ultimately what made me do it was just literally, if I don't do this now, when am I going to do it?
It makes
Um,
sense.
and I like to think of that philosophy a lot with life of why am I putting stuff off, and why are we putting stuff off, and if you can do something and you want to do it, by all means, give it a go. Because, like you said, the worst thing you can do is give it a go and fail. But, for me, that's better than never having given it a go. You
I
know, I,
completely agree.
I, I wouldn't have wanted to wait, 20, 30 years from now and think, God, I should have done that because now I know I did. So I'm trying to live in the present and stuff like that. But
It's one of those something you said earlier. Um, I can't do this. I'm this. I'm that. I can't do that. Like it's funny how we always like a lot of people in a way. We always try and default back to like, oh, I can't do that.
Hmm,
Like, I've got X, Y, Z reason. There's a reason I can't do this and that the other. Like I've got hypermobility and epilepsy. So
hmm.
for me, I wanted to train. I wanted to do it, but ultimately, don't think I can. But like, I'm really glad you have because the instant I saw you, there was a presence. There was something there, and you were like, shit. And then you had, Justin, all that, giving it all that. Um, and yeah, you have genuinely in just over a year skyrocketed.
Oh,
Like,
thank you. I appreciate it.
oh, of course, I never blow smoke with things like this. It's like the brand of like in just about a year skyrocketed right up, and look at them now, and it's insane seeing how high they've come in such a short amount of time in wrestling. Because a
Yeah.
year isn't very long, but a lot can happen in
Oh,
that time.
absolutely. Absolutely. And straight away, I had the benefit of being the size I am and the way I look, that when I enter a room as a pro wrestler or as a person, straight away, looking like I am, being the size I am, it kind of captures people's attention. So I had that benefit right away that not a lot of people do. And I am very grateful for that. Obviously, it's not like I had anything to do with it, it's just genetics and stuff. But it's certainly not lost on me that I kind of got that bit of a head start, whereas there's a lot of other people that haven't, so they've had to work a lot harder than I have.
I do remember
Um,
talking to a mom about something similar to this, about size and wrestling and height and things like that.
hmm,
It is, it can be about how you use it though at the same time. And
100%.
So you take the Void, for example. I remember you in St. Mary's had a face-off with the Void, and then you both, well, Void went to the back, you got into the ring, and it was just that little face-off. And it was like, it's like it's all you need
Yeah.
to
Less
plant
is more
that
with a
seed.
lot of things in pro wrestling.
Less is more. I completely agree. And doing the promo classes that I've done, because I've done, God, years of them. Because I was like, well, if I can't wrestle, I want to be a manager. So I've done a lot of promo classes. Less is more. And it's very difficult. No,
Mm.
trying to catch your niche, that can be a very difficult thing because I've seen quite a few people want to be one thing, but their demeanor, their body, their cadence and everything provide it leads them to more another thing.
Yeah.
And then when you realize that, you're off to the races. It's just about trying to find that niche, and it can be the exact same when it comes to your in-ring work as well, of finding what works for you. Like with the brand, and I've spoken to them about this. So I'm not like it's not like I'm slagging them off or anything because I'm not. But I believe JD is the more athletic of the two. However, with Ryan, when they were heel, of course, um, every single small little thing Ryan did in the ring when he was heel was designed to piss you off.
Yeah.
No matter what, even just his walk, everything was designed to piss you off. Whereas JD was more like he did more athletic things. So yeah, he's very impressive, but then he'd do something and you're like, wow, you're a dick. And it would work.
And
And
that's why the psychology and stuff comes in, isn't it?
yeah,
You know, we've spoken at shows a lot about this, of the dynamic of myself and Justin, of
yeah.
you've got this monster, and right beside him, you've got this mouthpiece who can say whatever he wants to anyone because he's got this monster behind him backing him up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a great thing to have as a heel. Um, that you know, in Justin's case, that it's such a flexible he can beef with anyone, and it's believable because he's got, you know, a giant behind him, and now with the addition of Cody, we've now got,
Yeah.
you know, we've got two monsters and a mouthpiece. But he is so good in the ring as well, Justin, that
Oh,
you can see him in a singles match without either of us, and you can still believe that this guy can go toe to toe with the best of them because he absolutely can. Um, and I just think the dynamic on a whole, whether when we were both tagging or now as a stable, it just works. And it's a benefit for all three of us.
yeah, 100%. Sometimes it benefits people to have that mouthpiece. Sometimes they don't need it. But with the dynamic of you, Cody, and Justin, and don't get me wrong, in Cody's debut, he knew how he can talk. Cody can talk. People were giving him shit, and he was giving it right back in
Oh, and then
spades.
some. Yeah.
And then you go and talk to him after a show, nothing. Very quiet lad, but
It's pro wrestling. For me at least, like when I get in out that curtain, I'm not Chad anymore. I am Chad the pro wrestler. It's two personalities, and as soon as you get out of that curtain, it's bang straight away. The other personality is the one in charge and is doing all the wrestling and what have you. Um, and it's just switching that dynamic
yeah,
that like we're having a conversation right now. But if I was making my entrance and you were saying something to me, I would glare at you, I would shout at you, I would
all
have
right.
nothing to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the beauty of it and it goes back to wrestling being an art form, is that you don't see this kind of character development anywhere else. And that's what's so good about pro wrestling is you have your established characters, but over time, you know, you put layers on top. So like me, for example, when I debuted, I was the silent monster and I can talk. So at least I think I can talk. So I didn't want to stay that silent monster forever, but I didn't want to just straight away start chatting and nattering and whatever. So I drip stuff in with crowd interactions and
Yeah.
shouting at the fans and stuff, and and then visually with my appearance, I'd started to change over time. When me and Ethan were going after the tag titles, I started wearing a suit the same as he does to give that this is a unit vibe, and that rubbed off quite well, I thought.
Mm.
And now since I think it was Champness, with me obviously going over as having a couple of title matches and number one contender matches, and obviously the Riot, I've now started wearing this cloak with the hood and coming out with the goggles and the mask and thinking like, I look like the fucking Grim Reaper when I come when I come out to the ring. Um, and it's just that presentation, like, and you see it right at the top level. Like I was watching last year's WrestleMania yesterday, and
Okay.
when you see like The Rock come out and he's got all this fanfare and he's standing in a Brahma bull on fire, and you look at him like this guy, he is something special.
Yeah.
Like he obviously we've not got the budget for that, but it's just little stuff like that, like where we've upgraded our sound and lighting presentation considerably since I started.
Massively, yeah. Massively.
We've now all got entrance videos and stuff like that, and that makes you feel like a goddamn superstar. Like
I can
going back to
imagine.
Champness Hall, I was coming out and giving it all, and there's smoke machines and stuff, and the lighting's all going, and I watched that back, and I was like, "Oh, that is such a cool moment." Like when you think I want to be a pro wrestler, you don't think like I'm gonna come out in front of a crowd of 30 people with just like a speaker going and no entrance video and stuff like that. You always think of like, yeah, I'm gonna have this as my entrance video, and I'm gonna have this music, and I'm gonna have this bit, and then actually seeing that come to life at a venue, like you say, going back to Champness Hall, come to life at a venue like that, it's really validating. Like, yeah, I did the right thing with this. It's just a really cool moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the evolution over the year of Chad Austin's, it's definitely noticeable. Definitely noticeable. I liked the suit. I like because it, as you said, it means you're a unit. Like a unit, they were the same thing,
Hmm,
kind of.
absolutely.
You get what I mean? Same theme, same thing, same. And then the master, the hood, and everything, and it does because you're all right. It does over time that you need to change some things up over time. You need to be like, right, okay, I need either in the ring or as a character. It's like Justin changing to the all black, and I loved that change. I think it makes it look so much better, so much more um imposing. And you're right, even when he is in on his own, he is still fantastic. And you look at like all three of you, and you're like, it's it is imposing, and it works, and it makes the not only does it make you look like $1 million, but it makes the babyface look like $1 million as well because they're coming up against this monster, and they need to try. Not only are they coming up against this monster, but coming up against this monster with Justin and Cody,
Hmm.
and it's that mountain to climb to try and beat you. It only works. It's only going to work better and better because of the odds that are put up against them. You look at Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, all these people that have had the odds. Rey Mysterio put up against them, and they've overcome every single one.
Hmm.
And it only makes the babyface look so much better when they come up and be and be the imposing figure, like when Cody finally beat Roman.
Yeah, 100%. And I've seen that at the LWF. It was Casey Carlisle, so I fought him on my debut, and it was 363 days later, just shy of a year, we had a rematch at a show for. I think it was the semi-finals of the Castle Cup,
Yeah,
and that was a really special show to me because it was the same venue that we both debuted in, the
oh,
same
that's cool.
opponent, and almost a year to the day. So that was, to me, that was really special, and I know Casey felt the same way. Um, and seeing the progression of both of our characters over the year, and we main evented the show together that night, and we spent that match basically. I just beat the piss out of Casey. Um, And by the point that the crowd got behind him, and Casey finally got the pin on me, like again, that crowd exploded, and it all comes back to that simple storytelling. And one of the coolest things I've been part of was in that match where I was just shouting to Casey, "You can't, you can't beat me. You could never beat me." And I was picking him up for a choke bomb, and the crowd were chanting, "Prove him wrong." And I was like, "That's such a cool moment," because it was completely
That's cool.
organic. Like Casey never went to the crowd, "Oh, I can prove him wrong." It's completely organic, and I thought that's such a really special moment because the crowd have got behind him to that level. Um, so that when he finally did pin me, it was like, yeah, the crowd exploded for it and stuff. And just on a personal level, with it being against Casey and a year to the day and stuff, it was just I was really proud of that match. I'm really proud of that show.
So you should be. So you should be. A crowd can make or break a match. It could be a
Oh,
phenomenal match, but if the crowd's dead, the crowd's dead. It's all about the crowd. But
yeah,
that's why everybody's there. There won't be a show without one. But I've seen matches. Of course, I'm not going to name names or anything, but I've seen matches where they don't give the match time to breathe, and
yeah.
they don't give the crowd time to get involved, so the crowd can then be quiet by default. And but when you stand there and you shout, the crowd are gonna be like, "Oh no, oh fuck you!" And like there you go, that you've got it sold right there. I've had Paul Heyman and Jim Cornette both say very similar things. Um, and like you see this small guy getting beaten up by this big guy out in the street, and you want the small guy to win, and then the small guy starts getting him back up and back up and back up, and he finally the small guy and people you get in the crowd and the crowd and the crowd, and you get small. I'm paraphrasing, but you get the small guy finally beats this big guy,
Yeah.
and everyone loves it. That's pro wrestling, and that's why people will buy a ticket.
And it all goes back to storytelling. Like it's, one of the oldest stories in the world is David versus Goliath.
Yep.
So to see that played out in a pro wrestling environment where the crowd are there, they're watching it live. It's not like a film or anything. They are there in the moment. And as a member of the crowd, you really feel like you supporting the babyface has that impact in a way that you wouldn't get that at a film or at a theater or something. The crowd getting involved in the match can really, like you say, make or break a match. And especially, like you say, coming in the case of a David and Goliath situation, it's really that crowd participation that takes it to the next level, and that's our job as wrestlers and performers to get the crowd invested in the match. So it's very easy for me to turn around to a crowd and say, like, "Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about." I'm 6'6" or whatever, and he's nothing. You're gonna watch me spend 20 minutes beating the shit out of him. It's such an easy moment for the crowd to say, "Oh, screw you!" Like, no, we want the other guy to win because you're a prick, and it's just it's one of the reasons that I love being a heel because
Oh, it's
like
great.
I mean, first off, it's a hell of a lot easier. Um,
Yes.
it's so much easier to get a crowd to hate you than it is to get them to like you.
Yeah, you need to build respect.
Yeah,
People
100%.
won't just go, I like you. Like, you need to prove to them
Yeah.
to like you.
You need to get that bond of like we discussed before with Casey going on his 1 year losing streak, the crowd when he finally got that win were white hot for it because they'd seen a year of this guy that they'd started to grow to like get screwed and get battered and get get put down time after time after time, that when he finally won, it felt like they won.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly. Yeah,
that's the beautiful thing about professional wrestling is your crowd will see themselves in your wrestlers,
yeah. They live
especially when it comes
vicariously
to the great
through
stars.
you,
Yes, absolutely.
and I love that. It's one of the main things I love about wrestling is living vicariously through these people because these are your heroes, and you're looking up to these people. And knowing so many of these wrestlers personally, like Clash, for example, I knew it. And when we went TNT Extreme Fields, and I saw him get absolutely sloshed and shouting at Nathan Cruz that he's got a shit name, which is hilarious. And knowing some of the, I like a lot of these people personally, and then you see these people in the ring, you get that bond even more
Mm,
having known both sides of these people, but it doesn't change anything in terms of what I'm seeing in the ring.
yeah.
Like if I know these people, like because I talk to a lot of wrestlers every day, doesn't change a thing. It makes me respect them more. But it's like if I was to sit and talk to you every day and be like best mates, I'm still going to boo the shit out of you when you make your entrance because you may be 6'6" or whatever, but you're better, and I'm gonna boo you.
It's
You
funny
might pay for that.
when I made my debut. So I had my family there, my mum, my dad, and my brothers and stuff, and I said to them, I was like, "You've got to boo me because the crowd aren't going to know me. It's my debut; they're not going to know me." So I was like, "If you cheer me, the crowd will think, oh, they're cheering for him. We'll all
Yeah.
cheer." I was like, "You have to boo me." And then a couple shows later, I think my mum said to me like, "So do we still need to boo you now?" And I was like, "At this point, just do
Oh,
whatever because even if you're cheering me, 90% of the crowd fucking despise me and Justin. So, so whatever you do, yeah, there's going to be
my,
a lot of people that to drown you out with booze. So,
that sounds like my mom to a T. My mom would not want to boo me at all, and that's I hope so. It's fucking sick. It's so dumb wrestling, but in the best way possible. I love wrestling.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just the best. Like just going out there and being like the larger than life version of you, not much better.
Oh,
And you
100%.
can see that one of my favorites in terms of not caring about embarrassing themselves is Chelsea Green right now.
Oh, she is fucking incredible at what she does, isn't she?
She
She,
embarrasses herself week in and week out, and people are complaining about why she's losing all the time because she's Chelsea Green.
yeah, but she's a champion.
Yeah,
And there you go. It's she's basically fallen upwards and she's constantly like escaping through the skin of her teeth. But it works so well because she's not afraid to go out and make a tit of herself. And it's brilliant.
she's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And then you've got Matt Cardona on Instagram as well. She's beautiful and she's phenomenal. She's absolutely incredible. If you were to right now, if you were to talk to like a brand new wrestling fan and right, you go and watch WWE and think, who can I show them? Chelsea's up there, right?
Oh yeah.
Her and Tiffany are two of the ones that are right up there, and like these two will make you fall in love. Like you've got, it's so strong with so many people that at least one of them you will look at and think, I love that person.
I think a good example of that as well is The Miz. Like that guy has spent
Oh,
his career making a mug of himself, but he's somehow one of the best wrestlers, best talkers, and he's got such like a decorated career. He's was he two-time Grand Slam?
yeah.
Um,
Not many people can say that.
well, there you go. I think is he the first? Is he the first
I think he
two-time?
was, yeah. I think he might
Yeah,
be the only two-time Grand Slam. Or if he isn't the only, he is the first.
but he's just so good at everything he does, and it's all the nuances of stuff. that pushes you to the next level, and you see like he's going out. You know, this stuff with Carmelo Hayes he's doing at the moment. I think it's brilliant. I think Melo don't miss. It's something like that. It makes you roll your eyes like, God, what a dad joke. But also, it's going to get to a point where it starts getting over and the crowd are going to start going for it.
The only reason thing I didn't like was when Logan Paul started saying tiny balls because that's something that will carry on with you. And like, if there's anybody who can ride that wave, it's the Miz. But I also don't want that chant being the one that follows him.
But he led into it, didn't he? He released shirts with the "My balls are massive" right
Because
on the
he's,
front of it.
I was just about to say because he's awesome, but yeah, he is. He
Yeah.
is awesome. He's one of my favorite all-time heels.
Oh yeah,
Not
absolutely.
not the best babyface, but he's one of my all-time favorite heels because he's if you were to tell someone about wrestling and about someone who worked their absolute arse off,
Mm.
he's up there. He does all the media dates, all the films. He's barely ever injured. He wrestles every day. He does everything you can possibly do to be that guy. And I think only two world titles is criminal, personally. I think he deserves plenty more. But his IC title reign when he said that on Talking Smack to Daniel Bryan, I
Yeah.
think was the turning point for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. It's when he went to, this was just like, oh, he's a good mid card, upper mid card guy, and he had this brilliant feud with Dolph Ziggler, didn't he, over the
Oh,
title, and he was laying into Daniel
amazing.
Bryan on Talking Smack, and you see like not only is this guy like a great mid card talent, but that's someone that you can push right to the top and it still be believable, and he's not afraid to play into the chicken shit elements of his character, like when I think it was 2020 when he had the Money in the Bank contract, and he like paid Bobby Lashley to beat up Drew McIntyre so he could win the belt. And then Bobby was like, "Right, you owed me a favor. I want a shot at the belt." And he was like, "Oh no, I'm not feeling well tonight." Stuff like that is it's just such chicken shit. Like, oh, you're being such a coward. Stuff like that that the crowd can just really get behind. And it's just little things like that that just really solidify you as a phenomenal talent.
And yeah, and Bobby had his businessman and MVP, and
Mm.
I think they could instead of like the week later, I think they could have really dragged that out. I think like him and Bobby maybe have the Miz feud with a couple other people, but still have Bobby just like,
Just
I'm
behind him
still
all
here.
the time. Yeah.
I think they could have had that that little they could have dragged it a bit longer because I don't know. I love the Miz. I wanted him to hold that a lot longer than he did. I wanted him to because he's just so damn good.
Well, we can only hope.
Oh yeah, we can. I don't think it will, but if it does, I will pop hard. I'll pop
Oh,
massively because he is that good. He's that damn good, and to the phrase from Triple H, he is, and he understands wrestling more than a lot of people do. He understands that oh, I'm a dickhead. Okay, I'm gonna lean into being a dickhead.
yeah.
Simply put, and yeah, a lot of people can learn from the Miz. A lot of people
100%.
can because
100%.
from what he's been through to now, legend, legendary status.
Yeah, can't agree with that more.
Hmm. Anyway, English words would be fantastic. Thank you
No, no
so
trouble.
much. It's
No, no trouble at
been
all.
an absolute genuine pleasure. If you would like to let everybody know where you'll be, if I can roll out the red carpet on you and then speak English and try and do an outro without stumbling over every word I've just said. Um, any dates, social media, it's all yours.
Um, Dates, we are LWF now. We're pushing Lancaster Code Red on April the 12th. That's our next big show. That's just going to be a phenomenal show. That beautiful venue. We're aiming to be the biggest crowd that we've ever drawn. So that's definitely going to be one to come and watch. Absolutely. And then we've got Slamaganza, our longest running show, April 26th, I believe, or 28th. I don't know. I'm not good with dates in my head.
Never mind.
Third weekend of April. There you go. Um, but yeah, that's going to be a really fun show as well. And obviously winning the Riot, I'm going to be there. But what
Hmm.
I'm doing, I'm not quite at liberties to discuss that right now. So you're just going to have to buy a ticket and come and watch. As far as socials, you can just find me on Instagram at Chad the Titan. Um, but yeah, LWF, I cannot recommend enough if you want a fun afternoon or evening of professional wrestling, of brilliant characters, of brilliant stories. I really can't put the place over enough. So by all means, if you're in the area, and we do seem to be taking over a lot of the Northwest now, so the odds are we will be in your area. Yeah, come on down. It's a fantastic show.
Lovely stuff. Thank you very much. Dear me, I've said it. I was telling myself not to say it. Thank
Uh,
you.
no, thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And we'll catch you next time.
Certainly will.